Hi, my name is Tamta, and welcome to My Kitchen, Her Story, where we celebrate all things female leadership. Here we aim to inspire, educate, and empower. Today's guest is a writer-director and a humanitarian. Her unwavering commitment as an activist on women's issues has earned her international recognition, including a Generation T Award, a nomination and a shortlist for the Asian Women of Achievement Awards, Women of the Future Awards, and United Nations Women's He for She. Please meet our amazing and inspiring and very impressive guest, SUKKI.
Hello.
Hi.
That was a run-up. Thank you.
Honestly, like the introductions, I feel like so much pressure doing them because like you girls are all so inspiring and you are doing so much for not just women, just generally society, that I feel so much pressure not to F it up.
I mean, I feel like we're also in awe of you. So honestly, F it up all you like. If that's your weakest part of
Literally,
you,
this is the most stressful part for me during filming this episode.
So overachieving in all other departments, though.
I know, because that's how we roll. SUKKI, I'm so excited to have you here. We have some really interesting and high-impact topics that I would love to deep dive on with you. But before we do that, first things first, and important things. What are we cooking today and why?
Okay, welcome to my kitchen. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so today...
My kitchen is your kitchen.
Thank you. So today we're making something really simple, but it's also inspired by my father. This is actually the first time I have properly cooked. Since my father passed away, so it's a very emotional day for me.
Oh, wow.
But it's nothing too heavy because I tend to eat in a grazing manner as I go along. So,
so you're a big snacker?
I'm a snacker.
Okay.
I'm like a grazer. I'm like a every 2 hours constantly eating kind of a person. So it's light, but it's also obviously got a lot of heritage. So it is a butternut squash dhal. And then on the very, very simple, very easy to do. And then on the side, we've just got a fillet of salmon.
Amazing.
With lemon dressing. Yes.
I think like we're constantly, the whole crew is usually here constantly hungry. So we're really excited every time someone cooks something delicious.
Okay.
We're really, really excited.
Okay.
So I'm really excited to dive into this. Consider me your sous chef, helper,
amazing.
Boss me around,
yes,
whatever you need.
Right on.
So where are we getting started? What do you want to...
Okay.
What do you want me to do?
So we're just basically going to prep half an onion and then probably, as there's only two of us, I'd say a clove and a half of garlic.
Okay. I'll get started with that. I've been getting better in dicing onions and not crying my eyes out.
Go for it.
You know what? We popped it in the fridge before and then it doesn't make you cry.
Is that true?
Apparently, because I didn't cry. Yesterday I chopped like 4 onions.
Who knew? Maybe it's like the maybe it's the zest of the, I don't know, maybe as it heats up it emits some kind of,
I don't know. If somebody knows,
ray.
let us know. Don't know the chemistry behind it, but oh well.
Meanwhile, cooking chemists around the world are looking at us going, these guys.
Yep.
These guys.
Amazing. So I'm gonna get started on this while we tell you a story.
Okay.
Where to even start? I mean, you're running a lot of high impact projects right now.
Yeah.
But also, I think I really want the audience to get to know you.
Right.
And why is this a driving force for you? Why is it relevant for you?
Okay.
What are you doing? And what shaped you into a person that you are today? Wow. Loaded question.
Wow.
Super loaded.
Oh my goodness, where do you want me to start with that? What shaped me into the person I am today and why am I doing impact things?
Let's go all the way back.
Yeah, okay. I guess I was always born this way. I think if we're like starting like that far back, like I honestly...
we love a little Lady Gaga reference here.
But I do feel like some characteristics are made through like life experience, through trauma, through successes. Yeah. But some personalities are just ingrained. It's like you're born like with jazz hands. And I'm not saying I was born with jazz hands, but not far off that.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew that I was slightly different, and my parents definitely identified me as slightly different.
Really?
And I think that terrified them because I was, I guess some people would say a lot, but unintentionally so. I think I was just really, like, I didn't just want to know surface level.
Right.
I wanted to know, like, deeper,
Deep dive.
deeper. Why, how, what, where, what's this doing? How does that, why are we like this? Even at the age of 2, I was like navigating and asking questions. So
I love that.
yeah, but I guess how it shaped who I am is that my parents, and I know they loved me so much, and they, you know, my mother loves me in her own way. I know she loves me, very, very, very special way. Okay. bless her. But I also know for a fact that I terrified them, and I think that that's going to go one of 2 ways. Either you kind of let your kid become the most like extreme version of whatever it is, and let them
and you enable them and empower them to really shape
and encourage them, and you take responsibility of the fact that that could go either way, and they're going to mess up because they're pushing the boundaries. Or you put them in a box because you're
and try to suppress that side of them
because you try to suppress them. And unfortunately, because I'm from a Asian family, my father's Indian Singaporean, my mother is British, but she's from a very conservative religious family.
Right.
Her mother was actually the first ever vicar to be ordained, female vicar to be ordained in the UK, and she was like kind of raised by nuns at school, so super strict.
Great.
They went for the cage option.
Okay, now it makes sense also when you say terrified them. I can imagine how that was a lot for them?
Yeah, I think it was more like, if she's asking all these questions and pushing all these boundaries, what's that going to look like? And I think out of love, they were afraid for me, you know? Here's this like very curious creature that's popped out of us, and like with like not naivety, but like everyone's a friend, and we're here to do good, and we must ask questions, and you know, it can be like a cruel world, and it's not always gonna, not everyone's gonna love you, and questions are not always gonna be welcome, and boundary pushing is not always possible. So I guess I then decided I wanted to be an artist, and you know, unfortunately the stereotypes do exist. My father's was a very strict, God, that's a good knife.
That's my Japanese knife, 100 layer of steel, melted.
Great knife.
Put it on your wish list.
That's nice.
Christmas is coming.
Nice. I love a sharp knife. God, that came across a little bit Halloween, didn't it? No, in a very Asian way, I love a sharp knife.
We have a few here.
Thank you. Yes. Well,
just for you.
I appreciate that. So basically, I decided I wanted to be an artist, and my parents, and particularly my Indian father, wanted me to do medicine or law. Unfortunately, those stereotypes existed. So I kind of wanted to be an artist. My father wanted me to do medicine or law, and
very typical,
yeah,
especially at that time.
Unfortunately so, and so we ended up butting heads, but because I kind of was very much at the behest of like my father's wishes, and you know, all of that, and he could be a scary character. I mean, he was so full of love, but he was also very firm and very strict, and wanted the best for us. And so I ended up compromising on my dreams and doing what he wanted, which was going to university to do sciences. And
really,
even though I could do sciences, because you know, I was a kid that just voraciously learned. It wasn't my passion. So you know, that inevitably is going to catch up with you. I think if you don't live true to your authentic self, then at some point either you're just going to end up super repressed, potentially unhappy, or you're just going to accept that that's your path in life, or you're going to rebel. And you know, a kid like myself, I guess there was going to come a point of which I rebelled, and I did, and that's how I got into the arts. And I suppose, long story short, that wasn't really a summary at all, quite frankly. Then that's what made me such an activist and campaigner.
Such a fighter.
Such a fighter, because it's like I never ever wanted any kid to experience that level of repression. Like, I'm being very laissez-faire about it, but really, all the teachers at school were like, she's going to be, like, you must support her, she's going to be a protege, she's incredibly artistic. Like, I got a certificate from the government saying I was in the top 10% of anyone in arts, like, clearly I was an artist.
Right.
And the pain of not being able to realize that or be supported through any part of that was just agonizing and a terribly lonely journey. And even when I did rebel and I chose arts, and which is how I got into like performance and then eventually obviously now writing, directing, that journey was so lonely that I just thought to myself, I'm not just going to fulfill my dreams selfishly, I'm going to ensure that my whole identity is carved around making sure that that no one else feels that, and that any kid who kind of comes out with like weird or you know, with all this potential, their potential is never crushed, it's always supported. And also to educate parents as well. You know, I literally just came back from Kenya and I was speaking to women as well as their children, and it's not just about supporting children, but it's educating parents not to be afraid of your children's potential, which is going to be completely different
from what you envisaged, or maybe the aspiration that you had.
100%. We're living in a different world. There are all different types of careers.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I can actually really empathize with you on the part where, you know, what was the norm at the time when you were growing up, or what the society, country, family told you that you should be versus what's actually inside of you boiling, ready to come out. Because when I was little, I was really lucky that my parents were extremely supportive. I'm saying now in whatever I would have done, but really, I didn't know at that time who I wanted to be, so I didn't have that very strong drive and the feeling and direction inside of me, kind of being like, I'm artistic or I'm academic or whatever else. So having said that, if I at that time went and said, I want to become, I don't know, a chef or a TV personality or whatever it is, they would probably be like, huh?
Right.
You know,
but
so
you never gave them that opportunity.
But I never gave them that opportunity, and so then I went and studied business. To have like more degrees than anybody really ever needs. And I remember having had that chat with my dad maybe 2 years ago, when I was like, you know what? If I had to go back and choose what to study or how to shape my career, I would probably go to a culinary school.
Wow.
Or I would probably do something and, you know, merge with entertainment industry, because my personality is extremely extroverted, but also I love food. It's one of my love languages, but I also love uplifting people and understanding their stories. So that's why I think this show is like selfishly my dream come true.
Right, but that's exactly it. I think it's, I mean, you're saying how you wish you could go back and do that, but you know, you're exactly here right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there are no regrets.
Yeah,
and
never have regrets.
I'm definitely shaped into a person that I am today because of all of those experiences. But how did you then transition from, I'm going to do what my parents want me to do and make them happy, to actually, enough, I'm switching over and I'm following my dream and I'm really not silencing the voice inside of me anymore? At what point did you decide to go from, I'm doing what my parents and society wants me to do or dictates me to do, to, you know what, enough, I'm gonna now follow that inner voice that's been silenced for so long and explore the side of me that feels the most natural to myself?
Well, the first step was, I guess the first step was through fashion. So the first step was through fashion, because I kind of found vintage fashion, and then when I was at university, and in finding vintage fashion, I found a scene that it didn't matter what you are, who you are, what color you are, like where you're from, it was an expression. And even though it's kind of clothing, it really was like an artistic expression of oneself. So I guess I used that as my art. Like my clothes became an extension of my personality, and my clothes also became a way of me being able to express myself. But through that, I heard about burlesque, and really, honestly, that's kind of what brought me well, it is what brought me to where I am now. And it wasn't because I necessarily wanted to be a burlesque artist, but it was that burlesque represented everything at that time, and I'd never heard of it before until I discovered vintage fashion.
Right.
It represented everything that I wasn't allowed to do as a kid.
But it was very rebellious.
Like, rebellious, in charge of your sexuality, in charge of your, you know, the way you look, in charge of your kind of body as a woman. You can wear what you want. You can dance on stage in incredible theatrical costumes. Like, it was something I really wanted to do. Knew I would get there somehow, couldn't figure it out. And then this is where, and again, there's no explicable reason for this. Go ahead. But basically, this is when, do a little test first to see if it like sizzles, and then we could say, no, needs a bit more. So yeah, it wasn't about it being burlesque. It was about what that represented. And I know this is going to sound really insane, but I really do believe that when we're ready, or if we vibrate out a very clear vision of what we want, we'll notice the indicators more in the surroundings. Some may call it law of attraction, the universe, manifestation, God. But I honestly believe that if you know exactly what you want, rather than imaginary things conspiring to happen for you, you just notice things more. And so literally, down the road from my office, and I'd kind of taught myself IT through sciences. So I was working in an IT office.
Oh my God.
So far removed. And also wearing vintage clothes, which I almost got sent home for several occasions in that male-dominated environment.
I'm not surprised.
But literally down the road from my office, I found out that there was a theatre and they were auditioning for burlesque artists. And I had no experience. Obviously, there's Little Miss, like Asian-raised, nun-raised SUKKI. And all I've got is my vintage fashion and a couple of YouTube videos. And I thought, I've got to take this opportunity. I have to do this. It had been burning and burning and burning and burning and burning inside of me to like absolute explosion point. So I went down to the theatre and I said, look, I'm a professional burlesque artist.
Heard about it yesterday.
Which I wasn't.
I said, fake it until you make it, you know?
And I said, I can bring crowds in. We've got this show, and myself and my friend at the time kind of were like, we can do this. And they were so caught up in our passion. And the reason for that is literally because it was do or die for me. I was passionate because it was everything I wanted to do in my life. Like, I could not have wanted that position more. So they said start next Friday. So I had 7 days to teach myself a professional burlesque routine.
My God.
Off of YouTube to a theatre of 300 people.
Wow.
And that was like my first entry point into the arts. Now, I'm going to be honest with you.
All we want is honesty.
It wasn't great. It wasn't great. Stuff got stuck, and I didn't realize that in order to do certain routines, you need to design costumes in certain ways and what have you. But the audience absolutely loved it, and I think it's because the spirit of burlesque. It actually originates from Italian theatre, and I think the spirit of burlesque is to poke fun at, which is the literal translation. It's to not take itself too seriously.
It's a self-expression, and there's no one way.
There's no one way
to express yourself because we're all so individual.
Absolutely, and it's 80% of the audience are women, so it's women cheering on women, and they loved it. So they asked me to come back every Friday, Saturday. I ended up quitting my job, doing that, and traveling the world, unbeknown to my parents.
I was literally gonna ask.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's reading my thoughts now. I was gonna ask, how did it go down with your parents?
So,
hey, Mom and Dad. I'm gonna now be a burlesque performer.
They actually didn't know, and then what happened was, it turned out I was apparently one of the first international, or if not the first international burlesque artist from Singapore. And I didn't realize it, but the press in Singapore, because I'm half Singaporean,
they went crazy
writing
on
about
it.
me. And so my mom, suspicious that was I really in an IT office? She kind of got like
you were undercover IT office employee.
Mothers always know. She Googled me, and so I got the call where she was like, SUKKI, and of course, she uses my stage name. And on the phone, that's the first thing she said. No other thing. She just picks up the phone and she uses my stage name straight away. And I'm like, ouch, shit. Like my entire soul vacated my body. I'm like, ooh, dear.
Yeah.
And that was the start of to be honest with you, horrific, 4 to 6 years where everything in their minds, everything that my parents were frightened I'd become had come true. You know, their idea of that industry was that it was hypersexualized, that there would be seedy men, that all these kind of misconceptions. And then I'm traveling the world, I'm traveling alone, it's dangerous, every possible thing. You know, it's not the done thing, it's not a good Asian guy. Like all of this was projected onto me.
Yeah.
And we had an incredibly strained relationship. And it's funny because I think I always knew that it wasn't a forever career.
Right.
I was going to do the best that I could because they also raised me with the values of you won't just be a burlesque artist, you're going to be the best burlesque artist in the world.
Right.
So I identify that now, that I didn't just do burlesque, I ended up taking on a government to liberate sexual freedom in Asia. And it wasn't just, oh, I'll do a performance, because, you know, it's what it represented for me. And again, like you mentioned, what turns you into this kind of social activist figure. I just didn't want anyone, you know, if my parents were going to repress me, like hell, I was going to allow any other kid to be repressed and alone. So I really kind of went that far. But what's sad is that brought me to television. It got me on Netflix. And then from Netflix, following the pandemic, is when I'd achieved the absolute highest point in my career.
Peak.
I've got a billboard, I'm on Netflix, I've been invited to Buckingham Palace. Like, you can't get bigger in burlesque. And I knew then, now I've got that out of my system, I can become the artist I want to be without my trauma being the backstory. And that's when I ended up writing, which I'd always kind of done throughout the career, and directing, because I'd always made accompanying videos to my performances. And it's sad because now, unfortunately, my father passed away before he got to see that. And so he ran out of time to ever say he was proud of me. But now, the what I'm working through, if I could be so bold as to share,
absolutely,
is that my mother now sees my career and my normal hair color, because I had rainbow hair back in the day. She sees this as something that she's not, is she proud of? She's getting there.
Yeah.
But her story to that is, I'm glad you finally gone to something normal. And what's really sad is, it took that person to get to here. So if they'd have just stuck with me, I would have got there anyway.
They had that faith in you, that you needed that journey to get there.
It's tough, isn't it?
But I think a couple of things that really popped to mind when you were, you know, telling this story is, one, a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
And how have you dealt with that trauma, and have you dealt with that trauma?
Yeah, so my father's actually was a psychiatrist. So from the age of...
How ironic.
Yeah, funny. Well, you know, they say that doctors can't necessarily heal themselves.
Yeah.
Although he really did. He tried, and I see that now, he tried so hard to understand me, he just couldn't culturally. So he did try. And he was very loving. So, you know, my mother's a little more quirky, but my father was full of love. So I never felt a shortage of love, but I did feel a shortage of approval. I felt a deep sense of disapproval.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's the same, really. You know, you've got to love somebody fully. So from the age of 2, he would always train me to process my emotions, look at my emotions, regulate my emotions, interactions between people. Why does that happen? Why does that make you feel this way? And so even though it's funny, even though a lot of traumatic experiences, my father and I therapized our bad relationship with each other. So we would sit down, and he literally trained me to be like, and so we'd have these explosive rows, and then we'd sit down and go, I'm really sorry. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely sorry. You know what? I can't be proud of you, but I'm trying to be proud of you. I'm like, well, that's still saying you're not proud of me. I understand that. And I'd be like, no, I've been too hard. I understand your cultural background. And then the next day, hell would kick off again, because, you know, he was at war with himself. So it didn't have a terrible, like, it didn't have the deep damage that it could have had I not been equipped with all of these tools in which to kind of practice CBT processing.
Yeah,
precisely.
And that's amazing, right? Because I know a lot of people from, you can go ahead.
I need some water on the boil, actually. You feel
yeah,
like you
want to pop that on, pop some water in there. I know a lot of people, including myself, right, from countries, families, societies that are quite oppressed, maybe narrow-minded, one-dimensional, I call sometimes, and a lot of them never process that trauma, and it really kicks in at like a later stage in your life,
right,
when you're like, I do not have time for this,
right,
do not now like drop me in this depression, or like I don't want this to come out in my personal relationships,
right,
the way I look at women, men, friendships, whatever that is.
Right.
So actually, as hard your experience was in terms of not being able to self-actualize yourself in the best possible way and the most natural way, I think that was a bit of a gift as well that your dad has given you.
So true. And you know, now afterwards, I understand that he was trying his best, and even though he inflicted intense pain, and I actually do feel sorry for him that he ran out of time to be proud of me.
But do you believe that he still is watching all over you? Do you believe in life after death?
So I didn't.
In spirit?
I didn't. I was very much an atheist. I think age makes us agnostics.
Yeah.
And then I think death of a loved one tends to make us spiritual. And I think until you've experienced that, it's the weirdest feeling, because after he passed away, I felt like his energy was still in the room with me, like an echo. And
do you think that is, when you say, you know, after you experience the death of the loved one, you become maybe more spiritual. Do you think that is fueled by hope? That, you know, you want to believe, you are not ready to let that person go, so you do want to believe that their spirit is still around you, looking over you maybe?
Maybe, but it could also be your processing. I mean, I think when somebody passes away, you kind of, all you've got is their historic memories. So you've got a movie that you can replay over and over again.
Yeah.
Now, the connection that you have to those memories keeps that person alive. Memories literally, you know, they're, you know, in dreams they can be audio visual, so there's something three-dimensional to memories. And so I think that possibly that sensation of them still being around is also, you know, brains processing their existence, and also trying to come to peace and reconcile. Now they have no more additional things they can say. I think you process their existence in a very holistic way, and I think that can feel like vibrations of them still being there. You almost become more connected to people in death. It's bizarre, the ability humans have to take things for granted until they're gone. But yeah, so I don't know. Who knows? Quite frankly, we don't understand the known universe. For some reason, we're all here, and we've appeared out of nothing. We're rolling around on a rock in a vacuum, so stranger things have occurred, quite literally. So I don't know, but
amazing.
I do feel like I feel the sense that after death I'm making him proud, and I also feel the sense that after death, whether it's a story I tell myself to allow myself to be at peace, I do feel that in some area, or I tell myself that in some known universe, he is apologizing, I'm apologizing, and he is proud of me. And that's really how my first film came about, grabbing those emotions and pouring it into something that not for him would make him proud, but I knew that if he were watching, he would have been proud, I think. And that's been very healing for me.
And to be honest, what do I know? But I do have a deep belief that he would be, first of all, so proud of you, but he is still really with you on your journey and such a high impact on the world, society, and doing whatever you're doing right now with all your projects. I would love to dive into more into that first project, the movie that that you just touched upon now. But tell me what's happening here.
Yeah, okay. So we've just sauteed our onions and garlic.
Yep.
It's nice and crisp and golden brown. We are boiling, hopefully.
Yep. Yep.
Some water because we're gonna make this kind of the stock to the dhal.
Oh.
And
we're gonna wash your dhal.
Right now, we're gonna wash the red lentils.
Do you need more butternut squash that I can cut up for you, or is that fine?
Lentils tend to expand, and what happens is as we cook, that's gonna go super mushy. So it's gonna just be more like a paste.
Yeah.
So it really depends how hungry you're feeling. I reckon that's enough for two people.
Perfect.
Unless our incredible crew are feeling hungry as well.
They're always hungry. I told you.
Okay, maybe I'll add a little bit more. Sure, cut a couple more pieces.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So the water is really boiling now.
Okay, yeah. Let's just take that down because it only needs to be hot.
Yum.
So that's good. We have our lentils. I put in a few extra
Awesome.
for our amazing crew. Yeah, I reckon just these two.
Yeah?
That should be plenty enough.
You know what? I have another bunch of the butternut as well in the fridge because I'm like, I don't know how many she wants, so better have enough than
That's good.
not enough. Okay, so you're gonna pop the lentils in there to cook, and then
I am going to pop them in the fry first.
okay.
And then I'm going
that's fine.
to.
This stove is like very. It tricks you that
These
it's not on,
electric stoves,
but it's actually really on.
Yeah.
Cool. So you're gonna pop lentils together with garlic and onions, and then we're gonna
correct.
boil butternut squash.
Yep. So then we're
Should
going
I
to
pop that in there?
Not just yet. Wait for. Yeah.
No patience here. No chill. No chill. No chill.
Almost.
Let me put the butternut squash in there.
Well, actually, you could, but I mean, we don't want to kind of.
No. I'm following your direction, which I've been told in my whole career that I'm not very good at. But
you're doing a great
when
job.
directed by a person that I trust,
Listen.
then I can listen.
That's the best sliced butternut squash
Fuck yeah.
I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, my chef career coming true. Let's go. Cordon bleu or
good.
whatever else. I'm ready.
So I have a question.
Ooh.
Yeah, so tell me, you were saying kind of how you wanted to achieve your dreams and now you feel like you're doing it, and how your family were really supportive. Do you feel, and I've often wondered this perhaps, like, do you feel that you discovered your ambition because you were supported, or do you feel like, what I'm saying is, do you feel like ambition is made through trauma, or do you feel like ambition is something that you inherently have? And is it that then you can discover ambition and without the kind of non-supportive family, so your family is supportive, do you feel the same hunger and drive?
Even more so.
Yeah.
In short.
Okay.
But let me expand on that.
Please.
So I do believe that we are a result and a ball of our experiences, whether they were traumatic or not. Right? We are shaped into a person that we are today because of our past. We are not born with insecurities, with traumas, or with passion for something specific necessarily, right? So we get exposed to the world, and it's almost like, let's see what my inner voice, my personality, what my brain, my emotions really resonate with, and where do I feel the most passionate, right? But when you're saying that, do I feel that because of my family's support, do I feel more or less kind of motivated or passionate? It's actually double responsibility for me. Because some might say that it could be a type of a trauma where you're constantly wanting to make your parents proud.
Ah, I see.
And you're constantly wanting to deliver tenfold because they believe in me.
Because they hold you in such high regard.
Right? And so I think, like, for me, the imposter syndrome is very real.
Wow.
Because I went from, especially like when you look at my career, right? Like I went from a very corporate, kind of high-powered career in technology
Right.
for over a decade
Right.
to what am I doing, like recording a show? I mean, like what, you know?
A fantastic show, but yes.
But you know, it's like
Yeah.
it's such a shift. And yes, my other part of the business is in more kind of like a corporate world still.
Right.
However, this is what I feel the most passionate about, and it's
Right.
not just pure passion. It's
Right.
not like, oh, I just love doing it, therefore I'm going to do it. It's still calculated impact.
Right.
That was very important to me. It's still a very measurable impact that we can see over the next year and
Right.
hopefully many years.
Right.
When we keep doing this show.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. So I guess the other question is, have you ever discussed that with your parents? And do you think that they would be, because I feel like I know the answer to this because I'm infinitesimally proud of you. But do you think that they would say to you, you know, you are enough, and would that help your like doubly, even more driven ambition?
So actually, for the first time, I told my dad, maybe 2 months ago, it was August, so like maybe 2 months ago, that I had a breakdown. A total breakdown with my sister because, you know, things get hard when you're doing new projects and there's so many things to take care of, and the imposter syndrome was kicking in and I had a breakdown, total meltdown. I'm not a crier. I rarely ever cry. And I cried with my sister and she was like, are you okay?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to let my dad down and I don't want to disappoint them. And she was like, what?
Wow.
She was so shocked that I had that side of me because from the outside, I'm like, let's go, let's do it. Like, it's not a problem. Like, I can do it all.
Right.
But then on the inside is a lot of pressure. So I actually, for the first time, then spoke to my dad that week and I told him, you know, that the biggest pressure I feel is the fear of disappointing you.
Wow.
And he was utterly shocked.
Wow, yeah.
He was like, how could you think that? Like, I am so, if you don't do anything anymore, ever, I am already so proud of you. And I quite frankly don't care what you do.
Wow. How did that make you feel? Was that like, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, I'm getting a bit emotional about that.
Come here. I love you. Yes, this is what we need to hear. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that was great.
Oh, you're so, honestly, good job. And you are, and I'm so glad. And I think that's what it's about, you know. I think, you know, and even with me, you know, like I think more parents need to have more conversations with their kids because you can have, not that there's such thing as too much love, but you can be overbearingly supportive or you can be painfully under-supported. But I think if communication isn't there, that's what creates these individuals that are pushing beyond, you know, it's so important to be ambitious, but pushing beyond a point which is mentally maintainable for us. You know
absolutely, absolutely. And I do feel like every parent, as well as every child, needs to know that it's okay to have that open conversation and might not be received well at the start, but I think everyone is trying to really be understood in this world. Who doesn't want to be understood, right? And loved and cared for. I would love to dive into the projects that you are doing and really talk about it and really talk about what are you doing now and where are you going with it?
Wow, okay. So
basically a question that we can be talking about for a week.
Especially if it's me, Loomis Chatty Pants over here. Okay, well let's whack the butternut squash in and let's
whack it in. Let's go.
Just be careful because it's hot, so don't get any splashback. I think that was all right.
That was not splashing.
Yeah, you got it.
So tell me.
Yeah, so obviously now you kind of I left off at the burlesque career sort of empowering me, you know, giving me the confidence, I think, as a woman, and then achieving it. And then, you know, getting to that point where I really felt like I was fulfilled. My father used to say, you know, you become so ambitious, when will, you know, there will never be enough. But I did feel a sense of enough, actually. I felt like I was enough. I'd reached that point through kind of therapy and sort of, you know, even CBT and talking it through with myself and all of those tools that I'd been kind of equipped with as a young girl.
Yeah.
But when COVID happened, that really forced my hand.
Right.
Because then all the theatres closed. So there is no more of that career, even if you wanted it. All the theatres closed, there were no more filming of TV shows, and I had to sit with myself for an uncomfortable period of time. Who am I without my career? Who am I without my career, and who am I without being able to really go out there and physically help people? We can do all kinds of stuff online, and many of us did. I tried to pull together performers around the world, and you know, I was still kind of trying to help, but essentially there was no career. My career was decimated.
Right.
So in that time, that's when I found solace in writing, and also knowing that I could become a storyteller, and seeing how good I was at that. Do you know what I mean?
You are pretty damn good.
Before, because I kind of like, well, this is going to be super embarrassing. So if it's super embarrassing, I'll just pretend it never happened. And luckily it wasn't.
Yeah.
But also a couple of things, kind of my relationship with my father really does define me, I feel, as an individual, quite extensively, to be honest with you. So I found out as he was getting more and more ill from motor neuron disease that secretly, even though he'd been so cruel, and he could be cruel to me about my career, and he'd be so unsupportive about me in the arts, I found out secretly this whole time, as he was getting more and more sick, he himself was writing. And I found that hidden on his computer was the script, a pre-script concept for a TV show. And actually, my father, for all his sins, had secretly been an artist himself. And he'd chosen medicine, but was passionate about becoming an artist. And it kind of clicked into place. And so just before he passed away, I told him, because he deleted the file. And it was in the recycle bin. You know, the recycle bin that disappears in 30 days?
And what made you even go through that bin? I mean, it's not
I was talking to him about it and saying, you know, I'm thinking of writing. And he kind of chirped up with, oh, yeah, I tried to write, but it was shit. I was like, you know, don't talk to yourself that way. Tell me. And then I found out, and then I'm like, quick, like, take it out of the recycle bin. Let me read it. And he said, oh, it's nothing. I said, please, let me read it. And so in the last 2 years of his life, I read it, and that was really my first foray into writing kind of screenplay stroke television.
Right.
But due to what I think was a tiny bit of resentment or pain was, if I'm going to become a writer-director, separate from, you know, the trauma of me working through my identity through burlesque, am I really going to make my first project as an individual, healed, proud, my father's dreams? And so even though I managed to get this turned into a pilot, I put it aside. I put it aside and I thought, no, why should I? How could you? You never supported me. Am I really going to carve out now?
Was that still like a residual anger?
Resentment? I mean, I'm not an angry person. I actually struggle really with anger because I quite like Earth. But definitely something. Do you know what I mean? I think it was an irritation and possibly underlying sort of resentment. Like, how could you? And it's just coming from a place of hurt, of course. So I didn't do anything with it, and I got distracted, and somebody offered me a gig as an actor on HBO, and I was very interested in that, and I could act, and I was good at acting, but you know, I was knew I had this possible talent. And then the worst possible news is I came back to the UK after being in Los Angeles, kind of being involved in all of these auditions that had just started back up again, and I saw him 1 week. I drove to my house in London. The phone rang at 8 p.m. It was my mum saying, Daddy's dead. And like, completely accidentally, 1 minute he was talking to her, the next minute, like mid-conversation, he just died. And because he had motor neuron disease and there's no assisted dignity in dying in the UK currently, he had a do not resuscitate. So even though the motor neuron disease didn't kill him in the end, my mother could do nothing. And as a doctor, she had to just watch it happen and wasn't allowed to bring him back to life, unfortunately, because the certificate had said it's his request. And that just destroyed me. In around that time, I also lost my partner, so doubly destroyed. So I was the lowest of the low. And I think that if you really assess your emotions, I think difficult times actually are shaping times. And I think the key to bad things happening in our lives is to understand that you're a victim of those circumstances, but not to be a victim. Things have happened to you, but they do not define you. They shape you. And I think only in fuck-ups happening, if you'll excuse the language, can you really reach your potential? I think only in the worst possible things happening, in the most extreme things happening, and that can be happiness as well, can you really fully experience the spectrum of emotions and process them and become an enlightened individual. And so that was when I thought, I need to pick up writing again. And a couple of circumstances happened where I was the ambassador of this charity. I'd seen the cases of abuse in women and girls rise. I knew what it was like to experience a difficult situation as a woman. All of that empathy, I'm literally bulging with empathy. It's too much empathy. Kind of was activated, and I thought, actually, this is the moment. And for my first script, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it for good, and I'm going to pour my entire heart and soul into it. And that's how the concept of I See Her came about. I spoke to the charity, I spoke to the campaign, and I said, I'm going to write and direct this film for you. I'm going to do it at my own cost. I want it to be a charity project. This is something that I'm working through. This is my gift to you through my healing. And I embarked on pulling together what was supposed to be a short public service announcement film, and what has become a 3 times Oscar-winning teams involved, most ambitious 6 minutes I think I could ever have imagined, with the most unbelievable people who have kindly come in to donate their time to be a part of it. Just unreal people who just stood up and said, I don't care, it's for charity, SUKKI. Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. It was kind of just like Spartacus. I've never seen the film, but I've seen all the memes. It was like just person upon person was standing alongside me, and I was just, you know, your chosen family or your friends, and it was just unbelievable. And so then these 6 minutes, driven by all of these circumstances, all of my childhood, my relationship with my father, everything just poured themselves into what I hope will be received as an incredibly emotive but sensitive, very sensitive, aware short film. And the point of the film is really to combat the rise of abuse of women and girls following the pandemic.
That's beautiful. And I think that's when you know, when everyone, the whole world rallies around you, that you have something very special.
Right.
When is it out?
Okay, so
I'm so excited.
So the premiere is on the 18th of November. Our London premiere is on the 18th of November, and the film is released on the 25th of November, which is the month of International Domestic Abuse Awareness Month, and it's the start of 16 days, the United Nations 16 Days of Activism.
Right.
So
that is so exciting. Is the premiere going to be in London?
It sure is. Yeah, it sure is. Please do come along.
Can we come?
Sure can. Head over to my social media if you want to see that, be a part of it. As I say, it's a short film, but what we will have is incredible speakers, and we'll have some special guests. And I just hope that it will be a room full of change makers, friends, and survivors as well. Incredible survivors who have become part of this story.
Amazing. I cannot wait. And
Thank you.
Seeing you speak with so much passion about it, this is it's absolutely 100% the most emotional and vulnerable episode that we've recorded so far. And so I'm really grateful to you and for all the honesty. What are we doing now with the dish?
Okay.
How are we looking?
This is the boring part. So we're gonna
Needs to cook it down.
let this reduce, and as it reduces, it's gonna start to become like a mushy dal, so it'll become thicker and thicker. So that's gonna do its thing. I like my salmon not overdone. So this is actually the last. I'm going to keep it really simple. I'm literally just going to pan fry it, and then we're going to squeeze some lemon on it. So that's going to do its thing. As this is reducing,
do you think that's going to take, because usually dal is like really long cooking time, huh?
It will. I mean, it'll go fairly quickly. I think the heat, look at the steam coming off. I think it's going to be fine, What we need to do is just assess the keys in the butternut squash. So once that butternut squash starts to become mushy, and right now it's still a little hard, then we'll know it's ready. So once that becomes squelchy, then that's
we also, I think, have a hand blender. Would that be?
No, my goodness, no.
Got it off. No, we're not hand blender. Sorry.
We don't put a hand blender in a curry. Oh my gosh.
What have I said? Sorry for what I have said.
I'm sorry, Dad.
What I said. No hand blender. We don't have a hand blender. Throw it away, guys.
But what we are going to do is, as it's just reducing a little bit, and that's looking good to me, we're just going to start to add our various seasonings and spices.
Amazing. What are the spices that you are throwing in there? I brought you some turmeric.
Good.
Love turmeric.
Okay. So it's kind of also very much, it's very much a case of like feeling. I know that makes no sense and it's unhelpful to people.
Oh, absolutely. But I come from a culture where it's like there's no measurement. It's like a little bit of sprinkle of that and no.
So it's really just kind of like how you feel, and then we taste it as we go along and just see whether it's okay. So I'm just gonna put probably like maybe half a teaspoon in here, but again,
I mean, just go with your gut feeling. Don't worry about it. You can just tilt it and like throw it on there.
Don't want to overdo it. That's probably
gotta be careful with that. Cool.
Asafoetida, this guy.
What is that?
Asafoetida. It's basically
asafoetida.
Yeah, this is the secret ingredient to any good dal. It's earthy, it's a root, it gives it that 3 dimensions. So when you taste dal and it tastes really rich, but you can't explain why, that's this guy. That's this guy. It's very strong, so you only need a little bit.
Super tiny amount.
So can you see how that started to turn into like
yum?
Thickening? Yeah, that's it. Okay. So probably with that.
Little bit. Okay.
I don't know why I'm not using the other side. Oh yeah, because I turmeric to just like, why are we doing this? There's more spoons. There isn't a spoon.
We have spoons.
No, we'll soldier on with the end of the spoon.
You know, oh my God, it reminded me of this, I don't know if it was a TikTok or like a short video or whatever I saw in like Middle Eastern family. My mom doesn't just like take a paper towel and like wipe it and throw it away. She like then cleans the whole house with it, like every single inch, and it's just like, you've been doing that?
Listen, my father had a phrase which is waste not, want not, and it doesn't come from just like food, it's basically resources.
Yeah.
Because, I think it's awful these days, you have like these disposable bags, disposable clothing, disposable everything. No, absolutely not. There's no need for waste.
We're gonna use 1 spoon, 1 paper towel.
Not on my watch.
Let's go.
Okay, some chili powder. Actually, I know you've very elegantly cut the red chili. I usually use green chilies fresh.
Yep.
This, just because green is a little milder, it's better for the taste.
But this chili is actually not super spicy.
Okay, I mean, do you wanna? We can.
I don't know. We can leave it out.
You can pop a few in. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want you to feel pressured.
No. Can you take your spice?
Yeah.
Can you guys take your spice?
You sure?
Okay.
They're nodding. Daria is nodding. Shut up, you're lying. She cannot. Did we already know? She hasn't tried Indian food yet. And I was like, stop it. What? She did yesterday, actually. That was your baptizing of Indian food.
There you go.
And I'm like literally the person who can wake up and have curry like at 8 a.m.
Oh, it's always good the morning after when it just sits. Do you know what I mean? The curry, for goodness sake. Stop. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Wow. Let's all just take a minute and pray. So sorry. No, I feel like it's with any food. It's not just curry, you know.
Yeah, when it sits and really infuses with flavors, yada yada.
That's the whole thing. That's it. Exactly.
Amazing. We have a premiere coming. That's so exciting. That's a bit of a dream come true. And I have a feeling that that's going to be a start of the whole movement, not just, you know, a passion that just, you know, you realized and came out. Right. What is the dream? Like, where are you going with this?
Really good question. So I think, like, I guess this is like typical me. I don't want to caricaturize myself or speak about myself in the third person exactly, but I guess it's just kind of like obviously wasn't going to just do a film, was I? Yeah. So that's a work in process, but I suppose life is short, so why not dedicate it to servitude? Yeah. But I hope that for my first short film, rather than just being anything that feels selfish or just like for me, for my art, solely as an expression of self. Right. I really, really want this film to kind of transcend that and to be a tool. So the film follows the storyline of two neighbors, and it covers the topic of what happens when you do or do not step in when you see signs of abuse in women and girls. And how, when you do step in and become the active bystander, you have the ability to completely transform the life of somebody just by noticing, by stepping in, by saying something. And so we see our character catapulted into this alternate timeline, which has happened just by a single physical touch of interaction in order to kind of help them out of that situation. I really hope, and my hope for the film, although I wouldn't be so bold as to assume, is that it really does become a tool for which people can watch it, a resource that helps educate the public, for all of us to become more aware, for all of us to become the active bystander, for all of us to become more vigilant, but also for all of us to kind of notice that we've become a very disconnected society. Mobile phone devices, social distancing, staying in our own homes, virtual worlds, God help us, the metaverse, which I think will be the collapse of like organic interaction, except for those that will now be neo-hippies, unfortunately. And that we need to maintain oh, that was so elegant. And that we need to maintain the connection. You know, yeah, that's good. So that we need to maintain that connection, and I hope that it does go on to be able to do that. The thing about the film as well is, because I wanted it to become this resource, I didn't include any spoken word. I wanted it.
Really? Yeah. I did not know that.
Yeah, I wanted it. I wanted it to be able to transcend language. I wanted it to be able to transcend language, ages, cultures, so that everyone felt represented and heard. But so that the message was so clear, no matter who you are, where you were watching it, how you were watching it.
You can understand it.
So I hope that it lives on beyond me, genuinely, but not just kind of as a resource, but as a tool and a project for change. And then in terms of the personal, of course, there's always kind of personal reasons to do anything in life, you know? Yeah. You can't escape that. No matter how selfless you try to be, there will always be personal motivators. And I hope that it's helped me as a writer-director, understand my craft. I obviously haven't had any professional film training. I'm doing this purely on emotions and learning by doing, learning from incredible mentors, growing as I'm on the job. And so I hope it will allow me to have the skills and to learn, so that for the next project, of which I'm currently writing, actually, I hope that it can have even more impact and be even more powerful. And I have also taken stock of your life doesn't have to always be a complete sacrifice for the sake of other humans. And so I've allowed myself to start writing something that's more playful, fictional and comedy. And even though there's social causes woven into there, because I think that's me and I can't but help.
Yeah.
I'm trying to live a slightly more selfish life, but still not compromise on who I want to be, which is ultimately selfless, to be honest with you. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think through also the humor, laughter, such a powerful messages can be sent. Right?
Yes.
And so it doesn't all have to be brainless, brain dead, which is also really great and guilty pleasure sometimes when you really don't want to
We've all watched those shows.
You know, yes, absolutely. When you don't have that brain capacity, you just want to switch off and just have that as a background noise almost, right?
Right.
That is super exciting. How is this all? You're doing so much right now, and so much concentration goes into it. How did this all, or is this all impacting your personal life?
Oh, well, I mean, I've tried this year to focus a bit more on my personal life. I really, really have, and I'd love to experience love in not a pathos way, but in an eros way, to the extent of which I'd love to find that. I think previously I really did focus on my career, and it was self-development, and quite frankly, I don't think I was ready. You know, I'm a bit of a swan. So
in what way?
I don't really date, and I want to find the one person, and I'd love to spend the rest of my human life with them, but not because I want them to be in my life for eternity, but because I feel like human lives are so short, and I want to get to know somebody so deeply.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know the facets of your eyelids. I want to know, like, how you're experiencing the world. I simply don't have enough years. So, like, if I lived longer, which I probably have and will, you know, if I lived like 4,000, would I want to spend my whole life with somebody? I have absolutely no idea. But in terms of human years, I think it's so short. Yeah. And then, do you know what I'm saying? So I'd love to be able to experience somebody so deeply together and flow through life together that it extends to the full extent of my human existence.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in love?
Yes, well, yes, I've been in love. Yes, I've been in love. I've been in love. Obviously, your first love is always your first experience of love. And I love to love. I've loved many humans, and I fall in love with strangers frequently, actually.
I definitely empathize about it. Wear your heart on your sleeve.
Hedgehogs as well are a particular penchant of mine. I love a good hedgehog. They're absolutely gorgeous little creatures with their worms. So I have loved. Have I been in love in the way that I'd like to see love represented? I think not quite yet, because I still had work to do on myself. Yeah. But I would say tentatively, I don't know where anyone's ever truly ready not to screw somebody else up and make mistakes, and I'm sure that I will inevitably disappoint somebody and they'll disappoint me, and I think that's part of it. I think I'm ready now. Okay. Yes, and I haven't felt like I've been ready enough not to screw things up really before. I've been learning.
Well, gentlemen,
well,
she's ready. Let's go.
Easy.
DM her.
Well, the thing is as well is I don't need it. I'm quite,
no, you're not desperate for it, but you feel ready for it. Amazing.
I'm not desperate.
Should we get started with salmon?
Yes.
Seeing that's kind of almost good. Ready. And on the topic of love, we're gonna taste test it?
Just do a taste test, yeah.
I'm gonna grab a spoon too.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yum yum.
And use a bit of salt. Yeah. Oh, that's nice actually with the red chilies.
See?
Mix it up, keep it fresh.
Altering your recipe here.
Right?
Delish.
Yeah, it's good.
Definitely salt, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not spicy at all.
No. So, you know, that claim you made that you're able to handle your curry, you'll be fine.
No, I mean, for someone who didn't grow up with spicy food, because Georgian food is not really that spicy, I would say my spice tolerance is pretty good, but also it's been developing because I love all cuisines, to be honest, but I love Asian food, African food, Middle Eastern, like I love flavors.
Right.
So I have at home, I have this like whole spice wall.
Right.
And like I have it divided by almost like regions.
Right.
Like I have the whole like Indian spices, and I have Chinese spices.
Wow, okay.
And then I have more European taste, you know?
Right.
And I love that. So,
we love an organization. Yeah, the dhal is not really, I say curry in a very generalistic way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a side dish and it's not really, it's got a little bit of a something, but it's not. If you can handle curry, this is going to be like this can be baby food for you.
You know what? I went to a Nigerian wedding a few years ago. Friend of mine, such a fun wedding. And their food, you know, everyone was like, it's too spicy, be careful.
Oh, okay.
And so a girlfriend of mine who was a Nigerian, she married a French guy. And so it was such a beautiful kind of, you know, a blend of two different cultures. But I was sat on her side, like with her family at the table.
Right.
Because I knew her, I didn't know him at that time. And they all looked at me when I went to get some food. They looked at me and they're like, hey, like, calm down. Like, it's gonna be really spicy and you probably won't be able to handle it. I was so offended. I was like, we'll see about that.
Watch me.
And actually it was so delicious.
Yes.
And I can't do like a super numbing, like Sichuan spice, because like, then I feel like I can't feel any.
Right.
And my tongue and my lips and anything, or like some of the Thai chilies are like really spicy.
Yeah.
But I love flavorful spice.
Precisely, and I think that's the thing about curries. I know, like in the Western interpretation of curry, I think there's this like bizarre toxic masculinity about let's put as many chilies.
Yeah, let's just like give ourselves a.
Right, and that's not the point, and that never was the point. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think when you appreciate spices, you realize it's the flavor.
Yeah.
And I think the heat is kind of irrelevant, but you develop a heat tolerance.
Yeah.
So in order to have that like palated after kick with the taste, the chilies are necessary. But all of this like nonsense interpretations of like northern wet curry that you get, that's like, oh, I can handle, like it's ridiculous. We don't need it to be that spicy. It's
No, but
unnecessary.
also like it's not really great for your stomach.
Not great for your stomach, actually. My uncle, speaking of which, it obviously isn't just just a Western culture, toxic masculinity. Although he's the sweetest guy, even though he does try and look as scary as possible. He decided he would go on the mission. Yeah, chuck it in.
Yeah,
So
it's fine.
he would go on the mission. I need to be on. No, oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah. He would go on a mission to find the world's hottest chili.
Oh my God.
He decided to go on this mission to find the world's hottest chili and eat it. Not in a curry. No. He just wanted to see whether he could handle it.
But it's a bit of a competition people have in
with himself.
But it's the same as like competitive eaters. I find that. But I'm sorry, I find it revolting.
The competition that no one asked for as well. So anyway, he finally found the world's hottest chili, and it's like in all of this like containers and
You signed a waiver that if you die,
he put one bit of it on his tongue, and he said his entire stomach started going into convulsions, like literally just because he's one. Exactly, empathetically, you're screwed. His entire body just started like, and his stomach just went into cramps and cramps and cramps. So I think when you start to get that level of chili, you're kind of like, well, that's not really about the flavor of the dish now. That's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit weird.
Do you have a wooden or a plastic spatula?
So we have this one, but I can flip it carefully.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Your mission, should you choose to accept,
Yes.
is salmon steak. I do, yeah.
Do you want me to season it? Salt and pepper?
If you want to season it, that's
No?
fine.
No.
Yeah.
Whatever we take your guidance.
You're also, where's the, there you go. Yeah.
We have the fresh.
Oh, even better.
Actually,
Actually, do you have salt in a grinder? No.
we have the molten salt, yeah.
Yeah.
Would that be too much?
Yeah, I think those chunks are a little big. Okay,
Yeah,
go
let's
for it.
do it.
We'll do a mixture of powder and then grinder.
Yeah.
Again, I don't even know what that means. I don't know what that means. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Love that.
I'm going to trust you with this pan.
Don't worry. I got it. You see the flames?
Metal implements.
Don't you worry.
Is it going to scratch it? No, I think we're good.
No.
I think we're good.
Stand back. I got this.
I'm ready. Decent. Oof, that looks good. Yeah, that's great.
Crispy skin. Just leave it there.
I name you Janice. Fantastic.
Yes. Amazing. How is the dhal looking?
Yeah, that's actually good. It's perfect timing, really. That's reducing very, very nicely.
Yeah.
So I think
looks like it's almost done.
We are pretty much done. I think, as this is going to take a little bit more time, what I'm going to do is just whack a tiny bit of extra water in there.
Really?
Just a little bit.
I think this will be done in like 2-3 minutes.
Oh, you reckon?
Yeah. Because it's pan fried. I mean, we'll flip it here, there, but
what I'll do
don't
then
worry.
is I'm
just
going to
turn it down.
It down, yeah.
There you
Just
go.
to buy us
Just
a little bit more time.
Yeah. I'm sure it's totally fine.
Yeah, just don't want to get that too
Yeah.
dry.
No. Yeah, I remember when you were sending me notes, you were like, I like it a bit wet.
Yeah. Wait.
I did not. It was not me. That was all you.
Your eyebrow.
My eyebrow?
It's starting me off. Oh my goodness gracious, I'm so sorry. To all the parents watching today, dear me. This is a family show, ladies and gentlemen.
Is it? It's an honest show.
It's an honest
show. And you're lying if you're saying that you never have some
healthy innuendo. Quick, rescued. Yeah, I got you. So, yes, okay, all right.
It's all off.
It's all off.
Salmon is ready.
Plated.
And then we have this delicious butternut squash and red lentil dhal. I'm coming.
That's it. Do a little rotate for me there. Now, how are we doing this? Because I feel like I'm over the Michelin tiny restaurants.
Oh my God, just put it on
Just
there.
put it on there.
It's all good.
Whack a bit of that. A little pre-washed coriander.
Don't worry.
For presentation.
Don't worry about it. Just
no. What? We got this far.
Sorry.
We got this far.
Okay.
Okay.
Put it on.
And there we have, ladies and gentlemen. Doop.
Okay. Amazing. Ta-da. Okay. So let's taste test this.
Let's taste test this.
Your fork.
Oh, cool.
Are we doing the dhal first?
Ladies first. Yes, absolutely.
Look.
Please, feel free.
We are doing it at the same time. Come on.
Oh, okay. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's good.
Oh.
That's nice.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Let's try some of the salmon. Oh, perfect.
Oh my gosh, thank goodness for chili.
I love salmon so much.
Me too. It's a great choice. Especially with lemon. Like, I really feel like you really don't. I don't even season it. I just literally go in.
Let it
little
sing.
bit of lemon. Pan fry. Oh my God, that's good.
Delicious breakfast.
Breakfast.
I have something for you before we finish up.
Oh.
Hold there.
Oh my goodness. The suspense.
As a thank you
Oh,
for being here.
thank you so so much. Oh my goodness, White Rose is my absolute favourite.
Really?
They're the symbology of the film.
No.
Seriously, I kid you not. Wow, you're so on brand. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thank you for being here and for such a moving conversation.
Yeah, thank you.